So we are Rosemary,
and Stefan Moriarty.
and you are watching Biloba Music.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you are.
1, 2, 3, 4.
If you had to if you had to choose one song from the album The Missing Room to seduce a lover, which one would you choose?
I would do BC Jane.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe I would use The Missing Room.
Number 8.
Track
Number 8. The track number 8 is a silence track. A silent track. And the other track is Beastie Jane is kind of hard. Goes like, you most tiger eyes later on another land. You choose the lush sea to see what might overcome, what might overcome. I walk slowly towards the water. Maybe you skid endlessly down. I walk slowly towards the water. Maybe you skid endlessly down. The summer goes like that.
At the turn of the last century, and the band was reading a book. Actually, one of the guys was reading the book and the others stole it from him in turns. And the hero, or the anti-hero of the book, was called Dean Moriarty. And so it just became like a name that called us. We didn't really choose it, it's just popped out of the pages. And maybe there was a childhood memory of another James Moriarty, or Professor Moriarty, that maybe was stuck somewhere at the back of our memories.
And also maybe in the back of Kerouac's memory also, when he had to name his character Moriarty. It was more, I think when the band chose the name, it was more of a dream of being on the road without knowing what exactly it was to be on the road. And since the release of the first album, we've been living on the road for 2.5 years, really. So I guess the name is really well chosen. We didn't know anyone. We were not connected to the music industry. We were just playing music in the basement in the center of Paris. And we all had different activities, and we were students also, and studying different things. Some were studying political sciences, law, architecture, arts, video, and economy.
Yes.
So
Yeah, there were other things, and also then the band members were traveling a lot and experiencing life in other parts of the world. In Africa, some were traveling in Africa or the south of the United States to look for the roots of blues music. The others were living in Asia, in Thailand, Vietnam. Some others were even living in Ticino. So when everybody came back to Paris and started playing music again, then we decided to try to be a bit more serious, and then chance just happened. You know, we just some theater directors saw us playing an acoustic gig in the corner of a room, and he just said maybe you should try to do an album, and that's how it started. But we didn't really look for it.
And I've been singing with my father and following him also as, you know, like another things. Among the things I was doing, I was singing. So, and I've been studying classical singing, and I've always had bands. So I wouldn't say it happened for me by accident.
No.
In a way, I mean, in a way, the way we met this stage director was an accident, but I was connected to the music and to singing since I was 8. So
And also I was always playing the piano and then the electric bass and the guitar and playing in many different bands, but the fact of releasing an album was not really a plan. I think for the band, everybody wanted to play as long as possible and as much as possible, but it was like another planet, this kind of professional music industry, and it still is somehow another planet, I would say. The freedom of being a musician with or without a record label or these kind of professional jobs around the musicians, I don't know, does it make a lot of difference? It does, it can make a lot of difference if you're not careful. I think it's like they're applying a lot of standards onto music, which is their job. Their job is to standardize music so that it gets easier and faster to reproduce and sell and distribute. And maybe in this process they don't realize that they are sometimes killing what's at the heart of music, which is a big paradox because it's like killing what you're making money from for them, I suppose. That's for us a big reason why we wanted also to reset the rules of how we do music and how we can share it with our audience. Not that it should be chosen and decided by some marketing agents or these communication people, but that we can decide ourselves now. We have our own record label, we set the rules, and sometimes they're illogical. Maybe they imply sometimes selling less records, but we hope to be happier this way and at least free to do what we want.
yeah, I think it's the difference between doing something on your own and facing it to an industry. They call it music industry, and industry, it calls, it's a little bit less human, I think.
It's almost like these two terms, music and industry, it's a weird thing that they got together, no? Who invented that? I think the only people who can really bring music and industry together are einstürzende Neubauten, and not some marketing agents.
Or maybe the guy who wrote the music, I don't know his name, of There Will Be Blood,
Mm-hmm.
makes music with machines.
Yes, that's okay, that's a good industrial music. Making music out of objects, not only from what you would expect music to come from, but also from the unexpected, like drumming on suitcases or
Typewriters,
or maybe sometimes by just
bells, different bells.
Yeah, hotel reception bells, basically
Bicycle bells.
It just has to tell a story. Sometimes it's really instinctive. Somebody will be playing on the guitar, and if you don't have an instrument in your hands, maybe you're just going to take some rocks or even the soles of your shoes and make rhythm out of it. I think it's not really a new thing. It's something that you can observe, like the jug bands, no? Like traditional bands with maybe sometimes who didn't have money to actually afford real instruments. You have to invent your own instruments, and most often it's just from what's at hand. I think there is like a very strong emotion that we got from this recording by Alan Lomax of Black Betty. It's like a traditional workers or prisoners song, where the rhythm that actually generated the song came from the gestures of the prisoners chopping trees or digging the ground.
Yeah.
And that's a specific rhythm. It's not very fast. It's a slow rhythm. It's like a slow, painful hammering rhythm.
Yeah, but they're all making this rhythm together.
And
it's a work song, actually.
It's a work song. You don't actually need musical instruments as such to make it. So I suppose once you can relate to this kind of music, it's just also it's kind of a freedom to you don't have to use a guitar. Often we are looking at rock bands and it feels like they must have the guitars, no? Can you imagine these rock bands without guitars? Would they do music with just boxes and rocks in it? maybe when you look at this, you say, are you maybe trapped by your instruments, by your style? It feels really good actually to just take a stupid object that lies in the corner of a room and actually record it on tape.
But this was really true, I think, on the first album mostly. On this second album, we picked up instruments on the way, like a baby electric guitar in Sweden, or a cigar tar made out of a cigar box that was found in France, but it's usually made in Canada or the United States, or a harmonium in India. So since we got kicked out of our playgrounds place and we were touring all the time, we had to choose other instruments or other toys that we found on the way.
Yes, using only one microphone in the middle of the band for the concerts does save money, save time also. It's very fast to set up actually. It's amazing.
Very fast sound check.
Very fast sound check. But the real reason we chose it in the beginning was to just get together. It's like a good excuse to force a band to play as one person when you just have one microphone recording it. You cannot escape. It's really focal. Everybody has to face the same microphone like it's a central character. Often we sing in front of it like it's a little head or something, some little man listening. And it just feels good because everybody has to kind of touch each other's shoulders because the range is quite small, so you have to press against each other, and the acoustics of one instrument, of the double bass of the guitar, just goes through your body to your neighbor, and that's something you don't get with modern technique. Stage technicians, they will give each musician a separate kind of microphone and a separate loudspeaker to put each musician in a bubble so that they can control precisely his sound and the next sound. And then
each musician can't control the general sound, and this is a way to make a natural mix of the sound.
To connect everybody's energy.
The message, you're invited to call the number that is on the front cover and to tell stories actually.
Yeah, that's what The Missing Room is about. I think when we chose this album name, for everybody in the band it just sounded very natural and it was encompassing all the stories that are being told. The Missing Room is something that was there but that escaped. Maybe it's a song that was supposed to be on the album but that escaped somehow, got lost or got kidnapped. Maybe it's a character that we know is controlling everything, but you cannot really see it. Is hidden somewhere. Maybe it's the memory of a place where something happened, but your brain is actually hiding it, and you cannot retrieve it.
Scary, isn't it?
It's pretty funny.